welcome to Solosaurus, a podcast about one-player board and card games. My name is Brandon Waite.
My name is Charlie Baumgartner.
And this is episode 22, where we're talking about the game of low-gravity putt-putt, Mars Open, Tabletop Golf. And as you can probably already tell, there are two things that are going to be a little bit different about this episode. One is that I sound like I'm dying a little bit. Don't worry, I'm not actually dying. I just have a really bad cold. So sorry for your sake that you have to listen to that. The other is that we have a very special guest today with us. Carter is not here. We have Charlie Baumgartner. Charlie is a guy that I know from church, and he has graciously agreed to come onto the show and tell us what he thinks about Mars Open Tabletop Golf. Hey, Charlie, tell us a little bit about yourself. How old are you?
7.
And have you played this game a lot of times?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to hearing what you have to say about it. First, we're going to cover the news really quick, like we always do. First bit of news that we have for this week is that Garfield Games has announced a new game called Paladins of the West Kingdom. Paladins of the West Kingdom is the second in a trilogy of games that started with Architects of the West Kingdom, which everybody is crazy about recently, and one that we have just reviewed recently on this show. If you heard that episode, you know that we loved it, which means I am super excited to play this. It looks like it will be similar to Architects, but it's its own standalone thing. You won't be able to use it as an expansion or anything like that, but it will have similar sort of worker drafting mechanics, and really looking forward to seeing what this brings to the table. It comes to Kickstarter in March of 2019, so keep your eyes open for that. In the meantime, go over to Board Game Geek and check out what the cover looks like, because the artwork is amazing. Definitely check out Paladins of the West Kingdom. Our second bit of news for this week is that Wildlands from Osprey Games is getting an expansion that allows it to be played solo, which is pretty cool because this is a light skirmish game from Martin Wallace, who does really heavy stuff normally, and this has been getting great reviews. So apparently you are using a clan of fantasy creatures to move around on a board and gather crystals. Has beautiful artwork, and it just looks great on the table. So very excited to see this one get some solo play. The news about the solo expansion came in an interview with the designer, so we don't actually have a lot of information about it yet, including the name of the expansion. What we do know is that it will come sometime in 2019. So when we know more about that, I will be sure to share it with you on the show. But that's all the news we've got for you this week, so we're just going to get right into the interview for Mars Open Tabletop Golf. This is a game from Dennis Hoyle and Bellwether Games. Bellwether Games is a publisher we've reviewed before on the show. They had a game called Coldwater Crown, which is about fishing. You like to go fishing, Charlie?
Yes.
Maybe one of these days we'll have to play that game together. Okay, that was a really fun one. But this one is a little bit different. This came out in 2018, and it's for 1 to 8 players. And Mars Open is something different than what we've reviewed on this show in the past. This is a dexterity golf game set on the planet Mars, where players are going to flick little golf ball cards over obstacles toward the hole, which is actually the box itself. So if you're playing multiplayer, you play 9 holes, and the winner is the player with the lowest score, just like golf. And for solo play, you just attempt to beat your own score. So we're going to do like we always do when Carter is here and just start by talking about the components for the game. And Charlie, what did you think about the pieces for this game?
Pretty much good. Like, there's a sand pit in a person. Like, there's even a jetpack person that you can adjust on different big obstacles. One of those big obstacles, I even flicked it over the whole thing. It was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, this is some pretty cool pieces they've got in here. Basically, you can actually use the bottom of the box as the hole that you flick the golf ball into, which I think is pretty cool, don't you?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a game that uses the box before like that?
No.
No, me either. I think that's really neat that you just actually use the lid and the bottom of the box too to set up as different obstacles. Plus, there are these different little standees that they give you, like a guy with a jetpack that can block your golf balls, and a couple of mountain ranges and a car. And everything in the box looks really cool. Do you like the artwork on everything?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I think that everything looks great too. The colors are nice and bright. There's a lot of pink in this game. It's really pretty, don't you think?
Yeah, it's like in the sunset. It's cool.
Yeah, that's true. It is sort of like it's in the sunset, which makes sense because it's on the planet Mars, which is red. And so I think all of the components and the artwork for this game are great. They're not like blow your mind amazing. There's not miniatures or anything like that, but everything here is serviceable. So the most important component in the game is the ball itself. And unlike golf, you don't actually use a round ball, do you?
No. You use this thing, it's like this square, and if you turn it to be a diamond, once you lay it down, there's this spot for you to flick it at.
Yeah, so it's sort of like, have you ever played paper football before?
No.
Like where you take a paper triangle and you flick it across the table?
No.
Oh, well, this is sort of like that. And so if you flick it, does it kind of float in the air a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you can do some pretty cool stuff with it. Have you ever been able to get it to like turn or curve in the air?
I think I have.
If you flick it just straight on, you can flick it pretty far across the table. But if you flick it like on the side a little bit, you can actually get it to curve in midair a little bit. Sort of like when we play Ice Cool.
Yeah.
How you can get it to curve, get the penguins to curve. So I think that the components for this game are excellent and they're very simple, but that also keeps the cost of the game low, which is really nice. So if you don't have a lot of money, this is a great little gem that you can pick up and have a lot of fun with. So the components are nice, but what about the rules? Did you think this was a pretty easy game to learn, Charlie?
Yeah.
I mean, we played this. How many times have you played this now?
I think it's about like 5.
And you feel like the first time you played it didn't take you long to learn the rules?
Yeah.
Nice. So did you teach it to anybody else?
I taught it to my brother Oscar.
And did you have a pretty easy time teaching him about it?
Yeah, a little bit.
I thought the same thing. The rules are really easy to learn. In fact, there's really only a couple of pages, if that, on how to play. If you know how to play putt-putt golf, you know how to play this game. And you've played putt-putt before, right?
Yeah.
And it's like putt-putt because when you play putt-putt, it's not just like a normal golf hole, right? There's crazy stuff that gets in your way and other stuff that's trying to block your shot. But in the end, you're just trying to get it in the fewest number of flicks, right? It's all the same. So that's essentially what this game is. There are some pointers in the rules for how to get your golf balls to stay low or how to get a lot of air if you want to or how to make them curve. But all of that's just ancillary stuff. You know, you don't really need it. The meat of it is just try to flick this little paper football looking thing into the box, which is the hole. It even has a cool little flag stand that sticks up out of it if you want it to. And the person who's able to flick it in with the fewest number of strokes wins. If you're playing solo, you're just trying to beat your own score. So you'll set up a hole according to a diagram that you find in the rulebook, which is what most of the rulebook is. And there are like 54 different kinds of holes in here. Did you try many of the harder ones, Charlie?
I've gotten it to whenever I played with my brother Oscar almost all night, I got to set 49, I think.
Wow. You got to 49?
Yeah.
Wow. I was really bad at this game. I did not make it that far. Which one is your favorite? Do you remember one that was really cool?
I remember this really cool one. I think it was 30. It's like this thing. It's kind of like zigzag. It's really cool.
So you have to shoot the ball in between, zigzag it through the course?
Yeah, and there's just a tiny bit of space. If you flick it up, though, if you flick it up in straight, it'll probably go through all the obstacles.
Oh,
because
nice.
There's a little hole in there that you can get through, but it's very risky.
Yeah.
That you'll hit one and go off track.
And so if you don't go through that little hole, then it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I played one like that today where it's like you had to flick it down almost like a hallway where they set up a couple of mountain ranges across from one another. If you don't flick it in just the right spot, then you're going to end up having a hard time. I think that's pretty cool, though. Did you think those obstacles added some challenge for you when you were playing? Did it make it harder?
I think so.
Yeah, I feel the same way. There are a couple of them that even have you trying to bank the ball off of some of those obstacles, like trying to flick it against the obstacle and make it flick into the hole from there, which is pretty cool. And then as you get a little bit further into the rulebook, you start with some pretty easy beginner level challenges. There's some intermediate holes after that, expert holes, and then they have hole-in-one challenges. Did you try any of these? Where you just try to flick it in one shot?
Oh, yeah. One time, I actually did do it.
You did it?
Yes.
Nice.
It was that I flicked it over the big obstacle once more, and I got it in the hole.
Wow, that's really cool. I've never been able to do it. I've tried a lot of times, and every time I can only get it in 2 or 3. But some of those are really hard. They'll line up a bunch of things right in front of the hole and you're supposed to get it in. So do you feel like you got better at the game as you went on?
Yeah.
I think one of the best things about this game is that it does grow with you a little bit, or you grow with it. Like the more you play, yeah, the holes are going to get more challenging, but even if you're really bad at dexterity games, and I 100% am, I think you will still find that you do actually get better. You learn little tricks with the ball, and the pointers they give you in the rulebook are really good. In addition to the additional obstacles that they add and hole-in-one challenges, one of the other things you'll run up against as you go on is they don't just add more obstacles that they stack higher to block your path. They also add a sand trap, which is this big, flat red piece that you put on the table, and if your ball lands on it, normally you can move it around a little bit. And
if you're not on the sand trap, you can turn it any way you want, but if you're on the sand trap, you can only turn it a tiny, itsy bit.
That's what I found here too, is when you land not on the sand trap, you can move it around, which makes it way easier to get a better shot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But when it lands on the sand trap, you can't do that, so you're stuck with however it happened to land. So the game is just really simple. There are a series of challenges that you go through that'll make the game harder, and there's 54 of them in here. Some of them are made by the designers, but some of them are actually made by people like you and me. Did you know that? Some people, when they first bought the game, had the chance to make their own holes and submit them to the company, and those are in here. So do you think you could design a hole for somebody?
Sure.
Yeah? What would be the craziest hole that you would design?
I would design this one. I would put a big sand trap in the back of it, if the way you're facing.
Yeah.
And then I'll put two of the big obstacles on the front, and then I'll put the little guy standing, and then, I'll put this big sand trap in the front, actually. In the back, I'll put the person in that little truck.
Yeah, I love the little truck. That's one of my favorite pieces in the whole game. I've had great luck with this, playing with Charlie and other kids his age in our group at church that plays games from time to time. They've all had a great time with it. I've had good luck with this playing with a kid that I mentor at a local school. He really enjoys it as well. And I've also enjoyed playing this by myself. And when you play by yourself, you don't get some of those stand-up crazy moments that you get when you play with other people, but it's just a nice, relaxing time. So, Charlie, this is a show about playing games by yourself. Would you ever try playing this by yourself?
I've actually never tried doing it by myself. But would you like to get started now?
What, get started playing a game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to get started. So, do you think you would have fun playing it even if nobody else was around?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty cool too. This is a very relaxing way just to kill an evening. It's not going to burn your brain. It's not a game of high strategy, but it's just sitting around at the end of a long day when you don't have the brain capacity for anything else. If you don't want to watch TV, just flicking this little golf ball around is a lot of fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we like to wrap up on the show with a discussion of what's really good about a game, what's bad, and what's just downright ugly about the game. And Charlie, did you have anything that you thought was really good about this game? Like, what was your favorite thing about it?
My favorite thing about it was whenever I got in the sand trap, it was really funny because the sand trap was right actually in front of the hole, and I didn't have to turn it at all.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's pretty sweet. That's never happened to me because every time mine's landed in the trap, it's always in the worst possible spot. Yeah, it does create some really funny moments, too. Like you were just telling me before we started recording that you had some really crazy shots that have happened when you were playing with your brother Oscar, right?
Yeah.
So there are great moments that can happen if you're playing multiplayer. If you're playing by yourself, you can still have those. Of course, there's nobody around to see but you, so picks or it didn't happen, I guess. But if you can get over that, then I think you'll find this to be a really satisfying experience. The pieces are well made. It's a short play time. We're talking maybe 2-3 minutes per hole. So really, really short playing time, but you can string those holes together as quickly as you want. Setup is easy. Tear down is easy. The price is low. I mean, there's so much to like about this game. Is there anything you didn't like about it, Charlie?
The only thing that I didn't like was I was just going smoothly, getting a low score with my brother Oscar, and then I flicked it. Finally, I got it in a couple of shots. That was like the hardest thing about it. It's kind of like you go smoothly and then it gets really rough.
Yeah, I could see that. Like where you just have a few rounds where things don't go quite your way. Yeah, I know what you mean. And yeah, it can be a little challenging to get used to how to flick it around, and that can be maybe frustrating for some people. I have played with a couple of people who really didn't like it just because they're bad at flicking games in general. But for the most part, the people who played it seemed to really enjoy it. And I think it's fair to say that if you were going to play this solo, it's a really great, enjoyable solo experience. I definitely recommend it. I've played it solo several times now. I don't think I would say picking it up exclusively for solo play is going to be the right move for me anyway. I would enjoy playing it solo after a long day, but I wouldn't say rush out and grab it if that's all you're going to do. But if you think that you might ever play this with other people, or if you have kids in your life that you really enjoy playing games with, this is an excellent purchase. They have fun with it, and then if you ever wanted to break it out on your own, you definitely could. The player count on this game is 1 to 8, which is really rare. So you could play this with a large group, or just by yourself, or just with you and your brother, like Charlie likes to. So that's all we've got for you this episode. Mars Open Tabletop Golf from Bellwether Games is a great game, something you should definitely check out, even if you don't normally like dexterity games. And thanks very much for being on the show, Charlie.
Okay.
Until next time, my name is Brandon Waite.
My name is Charlie Baumgartner.
And this is Solosaurus.